Today's April 28, 2025. My name is Rob Carr of Kalamazoo Right to Life, and this is Pro-Life Week. Well, if you're attending our Focus on Life dinner on May 8th, you only have about 10 days to go. So please, if you're intending on going and you haven't signed up, please go to our website, kazoortl.org, and sign up. Make your payment with a credit card. It's a secure site. So please do that. Join us for our Focus on Life dinner. Guest speaker is Right to Life of Michigan President Amber Roseboom. So be there, please. The Pope's funeral was, I believe, 2 days ago. And unfortunately, our government seems to sometimes make the wrong decisions on who they want to send to represent our country at some of these state funerals or funerals of prominent people in the world. And President Trump attended, which made perfect sense. But the Democrats in Congress were going to send apparently their smaller delegation, and included in that was Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi is not my definition of a good traditional Catholic. She likes to broadcast far and wide that she's a good, faithful Catholic, but she's anything but. Pro-abortion to the nth degree, just a radical pro-abortion zealot. And to think of her attending the funeral of the Pope is outlandish and an insult to faithful Catholics. And Joe Biden attended the funeral. Now, he might be a different category because he's a former president and he's met the Pope as president. So maybe I can give him a little bit more of a due for him. But still, here's another pro-abortion Democrat who happens to be a Catholic, who completely ignores the teachings of his church when it comes to respect and the dignity of human life, and that life begins at conception. No, he's not a traditional Catholic by any means. So that's my 2 cents on the Pope's funeral. Elections, as we all know, elections have consequences. And, if pro-lifers win, we get pro-lifers in Congress or the president, or in the courts, we can make things happen. But the opposite is true. If we lose elections to pro-abortion zealots, then we face the consequences. And I'm going to cite 3 examples of how some of these elections do have consequences. In Colorado, the governor, he's a pro-abortion Democrat, just signed a bill that requires taxpayers to fund for abortions for poor women. And in Michigan, we banned that, and I know the Democrats here in Lansing are trying desperately to repeal our pro-life law and to require that Michigan taxpayers fund abortions here as well. But Colorado, taxpayers are going to have to pay for abortions. In Tennessee, there's a pro-life governor, and he just signed a piece of legislation that protects doctors and nurses with conscience clause protections. If you're in a hospital that performs abortions, this bill will permit or allow doctors and nurses to decline to participate in performing abortions based on their religious and moral convictions. So that's good news. In Arkansas, the governor of Arkansas, and we know her, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, former press secretary for Donald Trump in his first term, and she's the daughter of Mike Huckabee, former governor of Arkansas, now the ambassador to Israel. That's exciting for him, I'm sure. But she just signed a bill that will allow public school students to see a high definition ultrasound, like a film of a high intensity or high definition ultrasound of fetal development. And it's going to be used in, fetal development, education classes. And it's going to show these, I'm not sure if they're going to be middle school or high school, but it's going to show these students what fetal development looks like. That the baby in the womb is not a clump of cells, a mass of tissue, but it's a living, breathing through the placenta, but it's a living human life that is deserving of protection. So that's exciting that that's coming out of Arkansas, that students are going to be seeing a life-affirming video. And I think it's just based on science. It's not going to be scripted by a pro-life organization. I think it's going to be done by doctors who know a lot more about fetal development than I do. But it's going to be instructing and teaching these kids about human life at earlier stages. Okay, last item. Americans United for Life has been doing research on informed consent legislation nationwide and how it is being ignored or bypassed by abortion clinics. And they've discovered that between 2008 and 2020, 86 abortion clinics in 21 states completely ignored or failed to adhere to state laws regarding informed consent. And Americans United for Life even has drafted model legislation called the Women's Right to Know Act, and it's already been enacted in different forms in 28 states in the country. And it basically requires physicians to provide detailed information about abortion procedures, the risks of an abortion, and alternatives to abortion. So this is another good step that AUL has cast a spotlight on abortion clinic failings, and they have proposed legislation to make sure that women are giving accurate, reliable medical information about the risks of abortion, about the procedure, and then providing alternatives. So with that, I'll let you go. Remind you again, Kalamazoo's Focus on Life dinner, May 8, 2025. Be there. Go to our website and sign up and make your payment on a secure site. With that, I'll let you go, and I'll see you next time.